we have a very good webinar for you planned. And before we start, I'd like to introduce the speakers. I want to start with my colleague, Safin Shah. Safin, please go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. Again, sorry for the technical difficulties. It's raining here in LA, and when it rains, people as well as technology in Southern California don't know how to behave. So apologies for that. My name is Safin Shah. I've been with the Bendix King Honeywell family for 12 years, and I'm a senior product manager here, and pretty excited to be talking to all of you this morning about alternative methods for procuring avionics.
Thank you, Safin. And this is Robert Heim. I'm the head of the product marketing here at Bendix King. I have my experience goes through data communication, networking, as well as business analysis. I was a business analyst research for a company for several years, and I did a lot of business analysis in the past for the companies I worked for. So having said that, let's just go through the agenda. So for the agenda today, we will go through a quick state of the market. We'll talk about what's going on in terms of avionics in general, and then we'll go through pain points when you try to upgrade your avionics, and then the different choices that you have in purchasing your avionics. And we'll just have a couple of slides on Bendix King's total avionics plan. I promise you this is not a sales presentation, and it's an informative product presentation here. So going through the first bullet, as far as avionics, modernizing your avionics. So there's several ways that you can modernize your avionics, and as I said, we'll go through this. But one of the most important things that you want to do is maintain your aircraft value through modernizing your avionics. Now, you know, there's many different aircraft types for different purposes. You can use them for just simple enjoyment of flying or using a fleet for business purposes. But these aircrafts can be very expensive. And even as they get old, they're not necessarily getting cheaper. A King Air 350, for example, could be priced anywhere from $2 to $2.5 million. And, you know, if you're at some point, you're trying to sell your aircraft, in general, older aircraft that haven't had reasonable upgrades aren't going to fare well at market. You're not saying that these aircraft won't sell at some price, say above salvage. You're saying that they may not sell at all. So maintaining and upgrading avionics is very important if you're thinking about selling your aircraft at some point. And even if you don't do it, you know, you still want to modernize your avionics for different reasons. For example, reduction of workload. So these new avionics try to ensure that you, as a pilot, use fewer knob turns and clicks to accomplish the same task, and that they used to take quite a long time to accomplish, such as entering waypoints into a navigation system that could take a long time to do that. And with new avionics, this task has been reduced substantially. However, you know, as I said earlier, this could be a major investment. And, you know, we want to make sure that we get the best package there is when you're investing in upgrading your avionics. And sometimes you have to upgrade because it's mandated by government, like the ADS-B out transponder that government has mandated by January of 2020. But above all, you want to make sure your flying is more enjoyable. And the better the avionics, the more enjoyable the flight will be. So let's take a look at some of the cockpit instruments and, you know, flyaway pricing. So we have put in a few examples on the left-hand side of the slide. And as you can see, the range is high. You can go anywhere from 3,000 for an attitude indicator all the way to 300K for a full integrated deck. So, these products are getting more sophisticated with, for example, getting more touchscreen based products. And as you know, as they get more sophisticated, they may get more expensive. And we have had an inflation rate of 2.5% over the past 15 years. Now, you may say 2.5% is not a lot, but since the cycle for upgrading may be somewhere between 10 years or so, you're looking at a pretty hefty increase in price. And the price is not just at the end of the story, basically. As they get more sophisticated, they also become more difficult to install, and you'll have higher installation costs and potentially longer aircraft downtime as they're getting installed. So there are some hidden cost components in there that you have to be wary of. Even lowering, even when you get a new avionics, sometimes you get new avionics and it's sophisticated. Sometimes even though it lowers the workload, you may need a little bit more time to learn how to use it. But usually with touchscreen products, the manufacturers ensure that you don't have to do a long learning curve. And again, these are all designed to ensure that you have a more enjoyable flying experience. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. So what are some of the pain points that we are seeing pilots or aircraft owners see when they're trying to upgrade their avionics? First of all, I mentioned it earlier, you have a high initial capital investment. Now, however way you're getting this, maybe you have put in your own money. Remember, there's always a hidden cost, which is called opportunity cost. And basically that says, what else can you do with that capital? Maybe you can do something else. Maybe I want to buy some other product that is more important for me. So, or as we'll see, maybe you just want to invest it and make more money on top of that. So that's also an important aspect of upgrading your avionics. The other one is the cost of installation. Usually, the cost of installation is around 30 to 35% of the cost of the product that you're buying. However, the cost of installation sometimes can go higher than the unit purchase itself. And again, you have a hidden cost here, that's opportunity cost of the aircraft being down or having a downtime, especially if you're having your aircraft and using it for business purposes. It's down, you're not making any revenues. And then we go to warranties on the right-hand side. Warranties may be limited, and then usually you have 2 or 3 years of warranty, and then later on you want to extend that warranty, but it could get costly in later years. And we all know that database upgrades have been costing more and more every year. So these are some of the cost components that you have to think about, and we'll go through some of the more detailed cost components, but they're inevitable. They keep going up, and remember that it is not just the cost that you're paying, the price that you're paying, it's also the opportunity cost that you have to think about. In other words, what else can I do with the money? So let's take a look at your procurement options. How can you go about paying for the upgrade? So when you want to upgrade and purchase your avionics, you have different options in raising the funds. You may want to put your own money if you can afford it outright, but you have to, again, consider the opportunity cost of that money. And you do something else with it and make more money, invest in something else. At a minimum, when you're doing that, consider investment in an S&P 500, which has gave you a return of average of 10 years for the past 50 years, and 50% for the past 5 years. Well, obviously, that's not going to happen again in a while, getting 50% for the past 5 years. And I wish I had invested in that, but that's fine. So basically what I'm saying, if you can borrow the money at less than 10%, you may come ahead, Or the other way to do that, you can simply walk into a bank and try to get a loan for what you need. But remember, you need a high value collateral to get the loan, high level loans. And you can also get unsecured loans. And if you do that, the interest rate is very high for those. And, some financial institutions we spoke to, they limit their loans to 100K only. So if you're buying something that's 150 or, over 100K, what are you going to do? And again, that's just for the price of the unit. As we'll see, it's not the end of the story here. And so basically you need a loan for the entire cost of the upgrade, as I said, including installation and other things. Some people can get a line of credit against an asset, and most people do this to, using their home, getting collateral. They put the collateral and they use their home as collateral. And let's keep in mind, when you're getting a loan like that, your loan to value ratio, the value of the home, must be low enough for the financial institution to give you that line of credit. And the options that I've put in here, options 1 and 2, basically put all the risk of investment with the owner himself or herself. So, but there are other new ways that you can consider, and that's a subscription service, which we'll go into more details a little later. So let's take a quick look at a sample purchase and see what you have to go through and what you have to consider. So this is just a fictitious product, the price is at 300K, and I've listed the tangible assets, wiring, and the product itself, and then there are intangible. Intangible like installation costs, extended warranty after the first 2 years, the database costs, the terrain costs for a single instance, for example, and the STC licensing. Some of them are recurring, some of them aren't. So we are talking about a price of almost 520K when all is said and done. And so what are you looking for? You want to make sure the goals for you to get a loan is, first of all, you get the best overall package, minimal down payment. Obviously, no down payment is preferred. And the loan you get must include everything, not just the price of the product itself. And you want this loan to get through very quickly and, not a long time, having to wait for a long time to get the loan. And, you don't want to go to different places to get the loan. You don't want to get a secured loan from one institution and unsecured loan from another institution, and put a lien on your collateral. So those are some of the objectives that you may want to consider. So, as far as what's the best choice in terms of procuring your avionics, it really depends on your situation. If you have the money and you don't mind to part with it, and you're okay, go ahead and purchase the product and go ahead and pay for the installations and everything else. But if you want a more affordable way to procure your avionics, there are other ways to do that. And one of the ways, of course, as we said earlier, is a subscription-based service. And at this point, I'm going to hand off the rest of the presentation, and I'll come back a little later to my colleague, Stefan Shaw. Stefan, please.
Right. So, Robert talked about purchasing the avionics and the equipment outright or getting a loan and financing through a bank. In this next couple of charts, we want to talk about the third option, basically using a subscription. What are the benefits of subscription services that you should consider, and how it could be used to upgrade your avionics? What are some of the things you want to consider and ask questions when you're looking into that option? In today's world, everybody sees subscription all around us, from meal services to cars, even office security system now is sold as a subscription. And surprisingly, Hitachi and City of London have been doing train as a service for last 5 years now. Essentially, the City of London does not have to buy the equipment. The train does not have to put the upfront capital. They don't have to worry about maintaining the trains, upkeeping the trains. All they do is pay Hitachi an agreed price for on-time service, right? So the biggest benefit, the reason this model is getting traction is simply because it provides a very convenient way of consuming the service at a predictable cost. So if you further break down the benefits of the subscription, specifically, it comes down to the biggest is that no upfront capital cost. This is something that benefits both a owner-operator as well as a fleet or a charter operator. If you are sort of in a business, this frees up your capital for other investment in other aspects of your business. The other part of the subscription is that most of the time it's a very comprehensive coverage. As a subscriber, as I mentioned in the example of the City of London, you don't have to worry about additional costs. Everything is sort of like covered under the warranty and the coverage. Then generally, subscription comes with different tiers. So the value or the tier that you're looking for is aligned to exactly the things or the needs that you have, and correspondingly, it's going to cost you the same. So it's going to provide you the sort of like modularity when it comes to the different kind of service that you need. Some of the other benefits of a subscription that you may not find in outright buying the equipment is that you have a simplified sign-up and a simplified way of exiting the subscription. Lease and other financial products have a very cumbersome application process as well as exit process. With a subscription, some of those things should simplify, and you will be able to understand that. And finally, it's kind of everything boils down to, hey, I know exactly what the price is, and that price and the cost is going to remain stable throughout the length of the subscription. So there are going to be no surprise for breakdown or any other charges. This subscription model will essentially allow you to get the right avionics for your aircraft earlier rather than later when compared to some of the other options. So when you are purchasing and kind of like comparing subscriptions, what are some of the questions that come up naturally? And the biggest one that I think people are going to think about is, what happens if I sell my aircraft? What we have seen is that, people generally upgrade their aircraft after 5 or 7 years. So a good subscription plan should allow you to transfer the subscription to next user. We have seen that in other industries. The next question could be, hey, what if I want to buy out the avionics? Because in the subscription plan, you're not buying the equipment, it's provided to you as a service. So what if you want to buy out the avionics or the equipment in the middle of the term? Again, a good subscription plan generally comes out with a buyout quote. At any given period of time, you can decide to end the subscription and just, buy out the equipment right away. Same thing, again, what if you wanted to add more avionics or remove avionics? Most of these plans should be very flexible enough to say, hey, you bought, an equipment A, the cost of the equipment was X, but now you decided that, hey, I really like these products and I want to add additional equipment to my cockpit, then you should be able to generally add that and upgrade your subscription, which we kind of see in our consumer market as well. And finally, what happens at the end of the subscription? Do I renew it again, or do I just walk away at the end of the subscription? And at that point, there should be a couple of different options that you may be able to negotiate. One is if you want to renew your subscription, you should be able to get additional new equipment or some other form of concession. If you don't get any new equipment, you should be able to kind of say, hey, does my subscription pricing now change after the initial term? Or the other option could be is that, okay, now my initial subscription term has ended. You should be able to buy out the equipment at a very minimal nominal price. So those are some of the different options that should be available. And if they're not, then that's something you should consider negotiating. So as you may have predicted, the reason kind of Bendix King is kind of talking about all of this is because we have a sort of service available, and it's called Bendix King Total Avionics Plan. In past, we had a service called Avionics as a Service, and the Total Avionics Plan is just a rebranding of it. So if you see any information or if you had been interested in that service in past, this is a rebrand of that, and feel free to reach out to your dealer or your sales, Bendix King sales, or send us an email, and we'll be able to provide you more information. But essentially, what is Bendix King Total Avionics Plan? It's all the core benefits that I kind of explained that comes with a subscription. It's a very comprehensive package that includes installation. It includes warranty, training on your avionics. You're going to get the use of the hardware, software. There's going to be, if there's the software requires any software upgrades or any regular database and chart upgrades, all of that is going to be included in your subscription at an affordable and a predictable rate. So it's a comprehensive package with exact pricing. So how does the pricing work, right? And this is something we are pretty flexible about. It was going to be, a 5-year term or a 10-year term, depending on the type of the equipment and the needs of the customer. If you, you can pay it a flat rate fixed on a monthly price, or if you are a charter operator or run some other kind of revenue generating service, then you can also sign up for a flight hour model, so that the subscription cost is offset by the revenue that you're bringing in. So there are different ways the subscription can be priced. Overall, we think that we have developed a very innovative way of procuring avionics. When we think about where the world is going, and the process of getting the subscription with Bendix King includes just reaching out to us and submitting an application, because Bendix King is giving the avionics, installing the hardware, as well as paying for the installation. We will go through an application approval process for the customer. Once the approval goes through, we ship the hardware to the dealer of your choice, an approved dealer. They install it on your aircraft, and you fly away. And the only thing that you pay is your monthly subscription. So we don't want to give you just a small pitch on what we have. If you're interested, please reach out to us, either Robert or me. But now we'll just kind of like summarize, what we talked about, and take any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Sapin. Thank you very much. So just a quick slide as to what we talked about today, the takeaways from this webinar. So we discussed that there isn't just one choice, there are multiple choices in raising funds to upgrade your avionics, specifically the ones that are expensive. There are limits as to how much you can borrow from some of the institutions. And, really each of these choices depend on your personal situation. And when you're considering getting a loan or taking care of the upgrade, you have to consider all of the cost components, and we went through that with you with a fictitious product at a certain price level and the different cost components. Sapan mentioned there are a lot of services that offer subscription, and they're ubiquitous. And there are some very good advantages as far as subscription services are concerned, predictability, affordability being two of them. And when you're when you're thinking about upgrading, please do think about Bendix King, and we do have our products, and with the products actually we also have a good plan for you to be able to afford this, and that's the total avionics plan. So at this point, I'm going to open the floor for questions, and please send your questions through the chat window, and we will try to answer the questions for you. So we have a couple coming in. So one person is asking, and this is for Sapan actually. So Sapan, other than Bendix King, are there other subscription services to procure avionics? Are there ways you can procure your avionics from other places?
So as I kind of mentioned, and you touched on it as well, that subscription services are getting more and more common. There are plenty of subscription services available in industrial market as well. However, based on what I have seen, I have not run into a subscription service today for avionics or aircraft parts right now outside of the whole avionics plan.
Okay, thank you, Sapan. Here's another question. So is the plan, that is the subscription service plan, is it better for businesses or individuals? So I'll answer that. I think basically it's good for both sides, for businesses and individuals, for different reasons. For individuals, at a minimum, it could be affordability. You can just go ahead and get the avionics without putting a lot of money down. And for businesses, the predictability of cash flow is very important, and subscription services can be very useful for them.
Okay. One of the other questions that I've kind of been asked, not specifically right now, but before, is that how is this different from a lease? And so to me, the subscription would be, it's similar to a lease at a surface level, but there are some key differences. In case of a subscription, if something happens to the hardware, the subscriber will generally not have to pay out-of-pocket fees, neither for the equipment or for the replacement. Most of the time, because it's a subscription, the equipment owner will provide software upgrades and generally make them available within the subscription itself. If you have a lease, those will not be included. And then potentially renewing a subscription at the end of the term may even get you new equipment. And this feature is definitely not available under lease, because at the end of the lease, you will just return the equipment back to the owner.
Okay, well, I think we are done with the presentation and the webinar. I want to thank you for joining us today. And again, our apologies for the technical difficulties that we encountered earlier. I hope this was useful for you. If you have any questions, you can reach out to us, of course. The presentation has been recorded, and you can take a look at the presentation. Send us an email, and we'll give you the presentation. Thank you, everybody, and have a great day.